IVM.
If you like listening to the Paodcast, check out Made in India with Me, the best Indian indie music podcast in the country. Check it out on ivmpodcast.com.
You're listening to the Poudcast, presented by the Daily Pal.
This is Purva.
And Amit.
We're from a Bombay-specific food and culture platform called the Daily Pal. This is our weekly podcast, the Poudcast. This episode is an installment of Bombay Binge in which we cover food in the city. And we have Roshni Bajaj Sanghvi, who is a very popular food writer and food columnist. And she's going to be talking to us about olive oil. So stay tuned for Bombay Binge.
Shunyavan, 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 Shunyavan.
$1 billion acquisition. Another copycat startup got formed.
No, the tech world in India is surely moving double the speed of this voiceover.
Tune in to Shunya One every Tuesday to catch us talking to the smartest people we know on the IVM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcast from.
Bombay Binge.
Welcome back, Roshni. You've been on our podcast a few times before. And this time you're going to talk about something that you're quite passionate. I mean, you always talk about things that you're passionate about, but this time it's one of your pet peeves, which is olive oil or pomace being passed off as olive oil.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. So, a lot of the times when I call for olive oil from my Kirana store, they tend to send pomace oil. I've been reading about pomace oil, and I've been speaking with Suku Shah, who's the founder of Olive Tree Trading Company, which imports olive oils into India. Essentially, pomace is not an edible product.
What is pomace actually? I mean, I had never heard of it actually till you mentioned it to me.
So a lot of the brands that you will see, I actually went and did a little bit of a study on Amazon.in and on bigbasket.com, where there are 38 SKUs of olive oil, which is stock keeping units, which is 38 different unique products. So if you're looking at extra virgin pure pomace under the same brand, that counts as 3, for example. Including Borges, Del Monte, Cesar, Farrell, Leonardo, Colavita, etc.
It's a random Italian name and olive oil brand.
Yeah, Vittorio, Gaia, the Solas, Campos, Olivia Gold. It's just, these are names that some of us are familiar with and some of us are not. But of the 38 SKUs there were available, 20 of them are pomace oils. Okay. And these are sold on an online grocery and supermarket. You know, these are intended to be sold as cooking oils, but they're actually not considered in Italy or in large parts of Mediterranean. They're not considered to be an edible product.
Okay, so pomace is a form of olive oil, right?
Pomace is when you have done the first press and the second press, and then you've done what is called light olive oil, which is sort of like a refined olive oil. When there's no oil left in the olives, which it's basically a dried mash of olive pulp. Hexane is added to that.
Okay.
And
hexane is a chemical.
Hexane is a chemical. It's added to that, and then that hexane is used to push out whatever olive juice flavor, whatever it could be left in it, and then it is processed so that the hexane evaporates.
Okay, so this is the opposite end of extra virgin olive oil.
Yes, I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm like, if you're looking at extra virgin as the top, then this is sort of like the slut.
Oh God, okay.
The opposite of virgin.
This analogy. Okay.
Yeah, so essentially, is it something hazardous that we've been consuming?
No, I don't think it's hazardous, right? Because apparently you can use it on yourself. You can apply it as a beauty product.
But we've been using it in copious amounts in cooking.
Food,
so
it's not good for you at all. I mean, if you think you're buying olive oil for the sake of health, then this is not the olive oil that's going to help your health at all.
Right.
It's also in Italy you can produce pomace in a plant which doesn't have a food license, because it's used there as an industrial lubricant or solvent.
Right. So that does sound pretty hazardous to me.
Yeah. But you don't need a food license
But how are people selling it then? Aren't there like FDA regulations that, say that you can't sell this?
We just don't know better.
Okay.
I mean, it's basically we haven't understood olive oil. We just it's been marketed so well to us as a health product that we haven't actually gotten into the nitty-gritty of it. So there are studies done in the US, including brands such as Bertoldi and like Sasso and
I like how you
Cola
bring the
Vita,
Italian accent.
which have completely failed the extra virgin olive oil test. So they add chlorophyll to make it green, and they add a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, but sometimes it's refined vegetable oil, safflower oil that is actually being sold as olive oil.
Well, that's what, I heard. I don't know if this was just like party gossip, but somebody who, like a marketing head for Bertolli, was casually discussing at a party I attended that, all their pomace is sort of marked for India. And
What?
she was so casual about
As in,
it.
why? Just specially for India?
Yeah, because like Roshni said, because we don't know any better and we're allowing this.
It's not only India, it's Asia.
Okay.
They're basically dumping pomace as a high value product, which it's not, because we're falling for it.
Okay. And
this is a bit alarming. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm surprised that there's, sort of no buzz around this, or somebody hasn't exposed
I
this
mean,
already.
like I said, till you mentioned it, I had no idea. And so, like, how prevalent is this? I mean, like, out of the 100 bottles that are sold here, how many of them are pomace?
So I'll
as
just
of
pull
olive
up
oil?
some figures from that I had, the last figures that I could get. In 2011-2012, the Indian Olive Association said that 51% of the olive oil imported into India is pomace.
Okay.
On Zoba Corp, which is a sort of industrial research, like business research website, pomace imports are valued at $43 million.
And these are being sold for, like, not cheap prices. Say.
So I'll tell you. So I marked some of the prices as well. And they're being sold from 543 rupees a litre to 920 rupees a litre.
Okay, so that is
but
not cheap at all.
my question is, if, say, like a lot of the bottles that we do pick up from, say, our grocers or online or anything, they all say extra virgin. So are they
being
just
mislabeled?
is that exactly, is that mislabeling? Because where does it say pomace as a disclaimer somewhere, or is it
Or
some
would it have to
subtext
just say
that we're
olive
not
oil? And
reading?
it can't say extra virgin, can't say virgin. It
So-
can just say olive oil.
So this is not only an India thing. I mean, pomace is an India thing, but about 70% of the store-bought extra virgin olive oil, which is the industrial mass-produced, where you don't know which estate it's coming from, or you don't know if it's small batch. About 70% of the store-bought extra virgin olive oil in the US is fake.
Oh.
So, I mean, we're looking at the same brands here, right? We're looking at Filippo Berrio. We're looking at, the brands that you see in supermarkets.
But yeah, but going on to what she said, I mean, how is this not a scandal? I mean, how is this not something that has been, like, people haven't come down heavily on?
I feel like labeling is lax simply because if you have 30% extra virgin olive oil cut with safflower oil and some chlorophyll, then it looks and tastes and smells like extra virgin olive oil. I don't think there is enough regulation at all.
So they have to have some percentage, like maybe 5% of extra virgin olive oil in it and 95% pomace, and they can pass it off as
I'm guessing
extra
some brands
virgin.
do that, and some brands have like a slightly more, or like, should I say, not as unethical sort of
Like maybe
ratio.
the balance is a little bit, proportions are different, but yeah, so pretty much it's like the majority what you're getting is pomace, but to call it extra virgin olive oil, they have to have a little bit of it in it.
Pomace is labeled pomace.
Okay.
But the thing is that in India, like Purva said, we don't know the way it's produced. There are websites of, like, like Leonardo olive oil on the website goes about proclaiming the benefits of pomace and how it's excellent for Indian cooking. I mean, a lot of it is marketing shtick. So,
Which is true of olive oil in general.
yes, olive oil is one of the most cut products, in like one of the most it's adulterated cut, not adulterated as much as it's cut in the world.
Right.
I mean, you can't be producing millions and tens of millions of bottles of first press extra virgin olive oil.
Right. And even the pricing should actually be your first indicator, because like especially your Kirana stores, the one, or like I've been buying, I used to buy Bertolli a lot. Now I've shifted to something called LA Organic, which is from Andalusia, and they have Mandara Orchard, which is based out of Rajasthan, has been retailing this. They're the importers, and this brand has won like a lot of like international olive oil awards all over the world, and it's great. Like in terms of flavor, I don't know. Now, if you put pomace in front of me and I try something else, I have to say that I'm as good as a lay person. But this, I'm assuming, is a legit thing. But now I'm like tempted to go and check the label, because what do we know, right?
And is there a huge price difference between these two products?
Well, I've been buying like say a liter for 900 or like 1400 for like as it gets more,
Okay, but that's on
in its
par. Well,
purest
900
state.
was what you said, that the Big Bazaar stuff was being sold at.
Yeah.
So
Big
big
basket.
basket
And
stuff,
this is a niche brand. It's just about entered the market.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see like now, because I've never looked at labeling beyond the extra virgin,
Yeah,
right? You just look
yeah.
at that and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm sold. This is what I want to get.
Okay.
But also you need to look at how much money brands are spending on advertising, on like all the other stuff. So then when you're paying 900 rupees for a heavily marketed product, you're also paying for their marketing.
Right.
There are two tests to tell whether your olive oil is actually
Pomace'd
good quality,
olive oil. Okay.
extra virgin or actual olive
okay.
oil.
Yeah.
One is if you put it in the fridge, because it contains so much monosaturated fats, which are good fats, it'll become cloudy.
Okay.
And it'll solidify a little bit,
Right.
which is a very sort of good mono-unsaturated event. But very, it's a mark that your olive oil is pure. The second thing is extra virgin olive oil. So this I'm talking about extra virgin olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil should also be able to keep a lamp going. If you
Okay.
use it as a
As a wick, yeah.
I mean, if you soak a wick in it and you
Yeah.
light it, it should
Yeah.
keep it going. Refined oils, on the other hand, will not have the same burn or the same sustainability. Like an extra virgin olive oil will keep burning until it
Okay.
runs out.
Okay.
see.
And
That's
if you put it
interesting.
in the fridge, will that also?
When you put it in the fridge, it should get cloudy.
Okay, if it doesn't.
Ideally,
then,
you should
yeah.
store it in a dark bottle, in a dark
Okay.
place, because it oxidizes very easily and becomes rancid.
Oh.
The other thing is also, when you have the olive oil, you should have a hit of pungency immediately and there should be a bit of a burn, and then the aftertaste should be slightly bitter. Then you know that this is sort of like first press, extra virgin,
Okay,
etc.
Okay. And we talked about
Unrefined.
supermarkets, but what about restaurants? Are we getting at least genuine olive oil in our restaurants?
I doubt it.
You don't know what's lying in that condiment caddy. I mean, if you got the olive oil and balsamic, you don't know what olive oil there is. Even if they're in completely good faith buying the regular brands are the ones that have been in multiple studies in the US found to have been cut with other oils. I was at a restaurant recently and they were serving olive oil ice cream as part of a dish, and I asked the chef what he makes it with, and he said it's made with pomace. And I sort of like tried very hard not to
It's red.
but he's like, it's mostly pomace with a touch of extra virgin olive oil, which is I mean,
But
that's,
isn't that also like a factor of what's available to us?
But I mean, I'm guessing this is a restaurant that's importing ingredients. I mean, how hard is it to import a bottle?
Yeah,
I
but
mean, bottles
you're
of olive
also
oil?
you're also looking at scale, Amit, and
Yeah.
you're always gonna take cut
The
corners.
cut
I mean,
corners,
that's just the
but not
most
cut
common
corners
thing at a
when
restaurant.
it comes to your prices.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's as bad in the restaurants. But so why is it like? What is it about olive oil? I mean, in the sense that is it like a super precious resource? Is that what it is? That actually, I mean, the genuine stuff, is that rare or that expensive?
yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the first press of olives, that's ideally cold pressed. You get the strongest flavor and the strongest antioxidants and health benefits from the first press. And then after that, to get more, or to get olive oil, oil is a refined product just like sugar or salt is, right? You shouldn't be having too much of any of it, because the way they say that you should have sugar and salt in its natural, as close to its natural form instead of it being processed in a factory, oil is also, it's always better for you to eat olives or avocados than to have like a tablespoon of oil. So what happens is that when people realize that olive oil has health benefits and it ties into the Mediterranean diet, it started being marketed and sold and pushed so heavily that at the moment I feel like in the rush to sort of sell it, we've forgotten the original point of it. And it benefits olive oil farmers, it benefits like mass producing food companies. And consumers believe it's healthy for them. So that's
but it's obviously, I mean, a bit of a con job. But
yeah, which as is with a lot of food products,
like truffle oil.
truffle oil is a petrochemical. No, it really is. I mean, you have to put a petrochemical compound inside oil to replicate the taste of truffles. But if you have a slice of truffle and then you have a drop of truffle oil, artificial truffle oil smells like petrol.
But that's majority what we get apparently. But that's another podcast. But but do you get like genuine extra virgin olive oil anywhere?
Have you identified any brands?
Of course. I mean, there are food importers who are specifically getting it in where they will tell you which region of Italy it came from, which estate it came from, which farm. I mean, part of the reason why I spoke to Suku Shah is because he's one of those importers who does it. But he's one of many importers who get like olive oil. And then you can tell from the way the packaging is done and the detailing is done on the label that you know that there's like more honesty and integrity and truth to this label, because they say that, you know, it's like 40 miles from Sicily or whatever, you know. So they'll talk about that. They'll put the family's name there. There's a certain amount of pride. You'll also be able to taste the difference. If you have like one regular supermarket brand of olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, and you taste this, you'll be able to. It's the difference between drinking wine out of a pouch and drinking wine out of from like a specific estate and a bottle. So
yeah. Except that there are, with wine, of course, everybody's like some sort of connoisseur at some level. But with olive oil, we're just not even asking the question, which I think is the need of the hour. Like, I'm pretty sure what the stash I have is legit. I mean, I'm going to try popping it into the fridge today. But I know what you mean by the cloudiness of it, because when people have brought back, say, olives preserved in olive oil, I've noticed that cloudiness while keeping it in the fridge. And it does get a bit... it got a bit of fungus too very quickly. So I was like, okay, this is obviously like oil that has to be consumed very quickly. And it did get that, like you said, the cloudy texture. So that's very interesting to note that I thought I was having a bad product, but it was actually the real deal.
So the thing is that what you do is you add a chemical solvent to the olive pomace, which is the mash, right? That is the ability to dissolve and extract fats that would otherwise not come out of pressing.
Okay.
And then what happens is that is heated so that this chemical solvent, hexane, evaporates. Now when you've heated oil to that degree, you've already pretty much damaged it. Like, which is why when we say you deep fry food, you've created carcinogens, you've created oxidative compounds and molecules that would, I mean, the benefit of the oil is entirely gone because one, you've added a solvent to it, second, you've heated it to evaporate the solvent so that the only thing that's left is oil. It defeats the purpose of having olive oil for health reasons.
And yet it's marketed as a healthy product.
Yeah.
So, I mean, are there any brands that you can recommend or like anything apart from the signs that you mentioned that you need to look out for?
So, I mean, brands, like I said, I mean, Olive Tree Trading Company imports a few. I think RRO imports a few. The best thing to do is sort of do your research. It's always like a Google click away, right? When you see the label and you run a search for that particular brand, you look into the history of it and its manufacturing and production process. I mean, I wouldn't recommend. So I wouldn't specifically recommend brands. But I will say that on Amazon.in and the olive oil category, there are 219 SKUs.
Wow. Okay.
So this is the level to which it's being marketed to us. I mean, the only thing to do is to do research before you buy.
Say I am looking at the label. Where would I find the word pomace written? Is it something as blatantly advertised as the extra virgin bit, or is it somewhere at the back of the label? Am I looking at the contents, the actual breakdown of ingredients, or what am I looking at?
So two places. One is the main label,
right?
When technically it should be there,
right,
and marked as clearly as an extra virgin olive oil will be marked. But if you don't find it there, you should always flip it and look at the ingredients at the back.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just say pure olive oil, which can mean anything.
Right.
Because that's a third degree, right? Whatever.
Yeah, or extra light olive oil, which basically means it's been refined and refined and refined to get to that state. If you're extracting pomace also, technically it's pure olive oil because you added the solvent and then you evaporated it, right? But at the back, a good company should be able to specify exactly what's in the bottle. So then they might say
what percentage,
70% pure olive oil, 30% extra virgin, or say pomace oil with a touch of extra virgin olive oil for flavor or whatever.
Well, has this changed the way you shop, or is it something you learned recently, or is it just something you've been aware of for a while?
So for me, olive oil's always been a dipping sauce or
Right.
a dressing.
Yeah.
And I don't use it to cook in my kitchen at all.
Okay.
I use it for its flavor.
Right.
And I don't care about its health benefits. For me, I follow that old sort of thing that came up about 10 years ago, is that every month I rotate my oil. So I make sure to use flavorful oils for cooking, which can be coconut or peanut or
Sesame, right. Mustard.
mustard.
Yeah.
But every month will be a different one, because the combination of and the kinds of fats that there are in each and the benefits that each have
Yeah.
are different. So you're just basically diversifying the benefits available to you, instead of, it's like you're not got like a monoculture of like fats happening in your body.
Right.
Olive oil has been sold very heavily as a healthy oil, but it's as healthy or unhealthy as any other lightly processed oil. So the more you process foods, the less beneficial they are to us. So olive oil to me is just like, have it because it's delicious and it's tasty and you like the flavor and have good quality stuff and a little bit of it. And don't have it because it's healthy. Because that's it. I mean, it's not. It's there for its flavor, not for its health benefits.
Well, thanks for busting that myth,
Yeah.
Rosh. And
Like you promised.
well, it was great having you on the show. We now know ways of identifying whether you're having good quality oil or not. Well, thanks for coming on the show, Roshni, and we'll see you next week on the podcast. For regular updates on the city, you can follow our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter accounts with the Daily Pao on all three. You can listen to the podcast on the IVM website, the IVM app, and your favorite podcasting platform.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. Sorry to say, but there's been a slight delay due to the apocalypse having suddenly begun. As you can see, there's death, destruction, and chaos taking place all around us. But don't you worry, food and drinks will be served shortly, and I would recommend checking out
IVM Podcasts
to get some of your favorite Indian podcasts. We'll keep you going till this whole thing blows over. Thank you.